Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 15 of D.A.R.C, or Does Anyone Really Care? The mini review series where I'm just evaluating the cars which can sometimes be forgotten on Gran Turismo 6. Cars which the majority of people probably have at least thought about buying before. Maybe you even own one, maybe you forgot that you got it in your garage, maybe you haven't used it in a while, or maybe you just don't want to waste potentially a large amount of money on buying and tuning a car which you may never use again. Now in this episode, as you can see, it's the Mitsubishi CZ-3 Tarmac concept which I'm going to be reviewing. There are two versions of this car on GT6. There's the road version, although it was never actually used on the road as a production car, but the road version, which is this one here, and there's also a rally car concept. Now, what's it like? Is it any good? How does it compare to maybe its rivals? Well, as you can see, it's designed to be a hot hatch. And visually, I think it does kind of divide opinion. It has kind of a chunky, almost like a pit bull or a bulldog kind of appearance to the car, which does divide opinion. It's kind of a Marmite car. Personally, I do like the car. It's one of my favourite hot hatch designs. But I can understand why some people might not like it. It is a bit nasal. It's got kind of a dumpy nose, kind of like a pug. But personally, I like that look. I think it's a cool looking car. Being a Mitsubishi, it is all-wheel drive, and the majority of its DNA and where its tendencies are in rallying, as you'd expect. I haven't actually used this car for rallying on GT6, but it makes an excellent road racing car. So I should think it'd be pretty good at rallying as well, probably. Now in the dealership, it's not exactly one of the most enticing cars. Not visually, but because it costs 80,000 credits, which is a lot for any hatchback, let alone one which doesn't even tell you any of the specs about the car. You can't see the engine size, the power, the weight, nothing. The PP isn't exactly awe-inspiring. After you've tuned it, it's not bad, but in the dealership, obviously, the PP is much lower. Now, fully tuned, the PP is 535, so it's reasonable, around the same as something like a slightly lower class Evo, so it's not bad PP-wise. And fully tuned, you're looking at 420 horsepower, which you may think, that doesn't sound like all that much compared to some of the other hot hatches in the game. Some of the other hot hatches run far higher power than that. Well, in the dealership it doesn't tell you how big the engine is, but once you've bought this car and you look at it in the garage, it does tell you. And this car, surprisingly, is only a 1500cc. It's only a 1.5 litre engine, so from that point of view, 420 horsepower is actually pretty impressive. And also, despite having all-wheel drive, with the full weight loss package, it only weighs 1,010 kilos, so the power to weight ratio is actually very good. It's around 410 horsepower per tonne, which for a hot hatch is pretty good. Now, performance wise, the acceleration off the line is very good because of the low weight all-wheel drive and low capacity, high revving, quite powerful engine, gives you good launch, good mid-range. Top speed, you're looking at over 200 miles per hour, so again, for a hot hatch, it is pretty good. It's not going to break any records, but against the other hot hatches, it holds its ground very, very well. The main advantage to the CZ-3 Tarmac against most of its hot hatch rivals is that all-wheel drive system. It means that you can take corners in a much more violent way than, say, in a Focus ST, because you have to really think about how you're going to drive it with that front wheel drive chassis with all that power going through it. Whereas with this car, you just don't really have to worry about that. You can just throw it around corners like an Evo. And that's one of the reasons why I like this car. It kind of bridges the gap between the Colt and the Evo. Now, I'm not a huge Evo fan, and I'm not a Colt fan at all. But this car I do like, because it kind of combines the best of both. It's got the compact practicality of the Colt combined with the sheer raw performance and ability and chuckableness of the Evo. You can just throw it around corners and it's just got effortless grip. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to break the lap record on the Nürburgring or anything like that, But despite its high price of 80,000 credits for a hot hatch, I would recommend that you give this car a try. Now, as far as competition, I'm not going to say that it's a highly competitive car because I haven't tested it in racing. I haven't compared its lap times to other hot hatches, but it does definitely have the potential to be a very competitive car within the hot hatch category. And it's one of the most forgotten hot hatches in the game, which is surprising considering the look and considering how much power it can have. You'd think that more people would use it and in so doing encourage more other people to use it, but that just doesn't seem to have happened. Now, I'm sure there are some of you guys who, like me, really like this car, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone use this, and I would recommend that you give it a try at least once. So that's it for this review, really. So I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.